just when the demons thought it was safe to come back to Earth, along comes the Doomslayer once more. If you thought Doom 2016 was a bit extravagant in its action, perhaps a little too over the top with the gore, get a load of Doom Eternal. The plot is simple. There are demons, you must slay them. Okay, so there's a little more to it than that, but not much. The main attraction with Doom Eternal, as always has been the case with Doom, is slaying demons. And what a wild, bloody time you will have slaying them in Eternal. The game introduces new enemies by the dozen, new abilities that allow you to put foes on fire for armor, and the kind of speed and verticality in movement that is difficult to match. Doom Eternal is a flurry of violence and attitude that will have you gripping your DualShock 4 like a madman. Rip and tear until it is done, and then done again on Nightmare.
Yes, it's not a game many people will agree on, especially as a live service release. But if it's shooting stuff in space you want, it's shooting stuff in space you will get with Destiny 2. Bungie have worked very hard since the game's initial release to turn Destiny 2 into something that people will keep playing for years, and it's fair to say millions have done just that. Hunt down the loot with your friends or alone, take part in life-consuming raids, and enjoy Bungie's seamless FPS action. Better yet, it's now free to play on PS4 with the introduction of First Light, just in case you don't want to have to pay to say goodbye to your social obligations.
If you played Ruiner but wanted it in first person, or just want a more straightforward, action-orientated Cyberpunk 2077, say hello to Ghost Runner from the minds at One More Level. A one-hit kill action game in a similar vein to the likes of Hotline Miami, Ghost Runner tasks you with making your way up Dara Tower while slicing and dicing your way through its dystopian, colorful floors. It's as challenging as it sounds, but thanks to the almost instant restarts and tools at your disposal, Ghost Runner is an FPS that you may struggle to put down. Yes, it's arguably more at home on PC, but don't run from this one on your PS4 either.
Far Cry 4 certainly didn't reinvent the wheel from Far Cry 3, but did it really need to? If you're being a bit cynical, you could say that Far Cry 4 is a slightly pinker, more mountainous version of the third game that's perhaps a little bit more immediately accessible than the fifth and sixth games. But that's probably a large part of the reason why Far Cry 4 is such a blast. The core experience of Far Cry 3 is still here: liberate camps, climb towers, shoot the bad guys, but with fun little tweaks such as abseiling, a charismatic villain in the form of Pagan Min, and a massive map to explore. Expect to spend dozens of hours in Kyrat. Believe it or not, but this is the only PS4 exclusive on this list. Sony have mainly focused on third-person open-world games this generation, with their only foray into the genre being a game that launched at the same time as the PlayStation 4 itself. Shadowfall isn't an exceptional game, but it is a lot of fun all the same. Treat it as a beautiful demonstration of the power of the PS4 and try to climb around its jammed-in mechanics to coincide with the new features of the console. We wouldn't mind seeing another Killzone, but with Guerrilla currently killing it with Horizon, this might be the swan song for the franchise. Not the worst way to go out. A game with kill in its name following another, it's almost as if we did it on purpose. Almost. A one-time free PlayStation Plus game, Killing Floor 2 may be the closest thing console gamers ever get to seeing a new Left 4 Dead game. While it may not have quite as much chaotic intensity as Valve's iconic franchise, Killing Floor 2 is still the perfect way to unwind by shooting up some zombie brands. It's a little on the kooky side, particularly with its timed events and bosses, but make no mistake, Killing Floor 2 isn't a PS4 FPS game that you can just wander into and expect to conquer overnight. Packaged content, including more maps than are probably needed, and enemy varieties that you have to tactically go up against, Killing Floor 2 is one of the best zombie games going, and is a good way to bond with some friends. Divorce Battlefront 2 from its many controversies for a second, and you will discover that, at its core, it's a more than competent and sometimes excellent shooter. The controversial microtransactions, which could possibly give in-game advantages, have now been removed, replaced by cosmetics. You have to wonder why they just didn't do that to begin with. As well as the multiplayer offering far more content than the original reboot, Battlefront 2 comes with a single-player campaign that, while not exactly amazing, tells an interesting enough story that is worth the lowered price of admission for the game as is. It certainly looks and sounds the part of a Star Wars game, but it's best experienced with some friends, or you may find yourself wandering off to other PS4 FPS games. It's not the next Prey people were expecting, which itself looked nothing like the original Prey, but Arcane's sci-fi vision for the series still won plenty of plaudits. It's like the new System Shock we will probably never see. If you want to get lost in a dense world with RPG mechanics, Prey might be your safest bet. While not perfect, the enemies are rather unremarkable and the story takes its sweet time to do anything of note, Prey still succeeds in providing hours upon hours of tense exploration as dark creatures lurk around every corner. Nobody can forget the first time they encountered a homicidal coffee mug among many of the other weird and wonderful moments the game produces.
While its promise of being boots on the ground went to hell in a handbasket once leprechauns were added to the game, Call of Duty WWI was still a shot in the arm that the series desperately needed. It's still a Call of Duty game, right down to its hilariously unapproachable multiplayer, but WWI showed that there might still be life left in the old dog yet. It's exactly what you would expect from a Call of Duty entry: tight shooting, easy to pick up and play, and utterly bombastic. While WWI doesn't threaten the franchise's first few forays in terms of recreating World War II, it's a good way to spend some time killing Nazis. That's a common theme throughout this list, apparently. FPS fodder is about all they're good for.
The post-apocalyptic sequel absolutely nobody really wanted or asked for, but we're glad they made it anyway. The first Rage was a bit of an odd beast without a proper ending that tried to do too much at once, without doing anything particularly well, but they fixed that in time for Rage 2. Anyone left jaded by the original Rage will probably feel like its sequel is making amends. Rage 2 has a story, but we'll be damned if we know what it is. Something about a peanut-headed guy in a suit? Who knows? What we do know, though, is that its gunplay is as irresistibly great as you'd expect from something with its name on it. Especially when you get your superpowers and start throwing wing sticks at people while gliding in midair before pounding the ground like an actual superhero. Yeah, it's not a serious game.
If you are yet to experience the joys of the Wang, I would recommend that you get some Wang up you as soon as you can. It may not be an obvious contender for the best PS4 FPS games, but once Shadow Warrior 2 gets going and you discover its loot and gratuitous world, it's a ridiculous joy to behold. By embracing its loot mechanics and rewarding the grind, Shadow Warrior 2 is like a more lighthearted Destiny with samurai swords. There's certainly a lot to love about it, whether it's its stupendously obnoxious protagonist or the depth of content on offer, so don't let this one slip you by. If you aren't a Far Cry fan, its fifth incarnation is going to do nothing to change your mind about the series. Even with some polishes here and a few trimmings there, Far Cry 5 still has the DNA of a Far Cry game, a massive open world that's your playground for murder and random animal attacks. Its protagonist, however, is so good that it's almost worth playing through Far Cry 5 just to experience his many hypnotizing monologues and deliberate movements. Joseph Seed is a villain worth investing time into, as well as Hope County in general. Even if taking down countless outposts isn't really your thing, you'll always have fishing. Just as long as random bear doesn't decide to ruin your day, that is. While it's arguable that Metro never needed to go down the open world route, it makes total sense in Exodus, the most ambitious entry in the series to date and one of 2019's sleeper hits. There's a reason why more people cared about this much more than Anthem, you know? A PS4 FPS with a crumbling world to explore, Metro Exodus once again puts you in the shoes of series veteran Artyom as he makes his way above ground and hops on a train to prove that life exists away from the Russian underground system once and for all. Well, human life, at least. There is no shortage of irradiated creeps who want to eat your spleen. It feels a little unusual compared to its fast and fluid peers on this list of the best PS4 FPS games, but that's just Metro for you. First things first, you will need a PSVR headset if you want to play Firewall 0 Hour. If you don't have one, this pulse-pounding FPS is a good reason to do just that.
It utilizes VR well and is an all-around solid shooter with an emphasis on teamwork. Using your headset, you can peek around corners and hide behind cover while you coordinate over comms with your team. It's damn impressive when you have a team all working together to pincer and take out the opponents, with the small bonus that it is also entirely playable with the DualShock, just in case you don't want to splash out extra for the Move controllers. First Contact have supported Firewall incredibly well since launch, making it the premier VR FPS experience.
Some may prefer the New Order over the new Colossus, but for the sheer brass balls on the franchise's most recent entry, the vote has to go to the latter. The new Colossus fully embraces the kitsch to craft an FPS game that feels like a fever dream, with enough twists and turns to make your head fall off. While not necessarily a long experience, you're getting concentrated bouts of mayhem and murder that feel completely empowering. There are different playstyles for different players too, so if you want to be a walking tower of meaty ninja, you can be. Oh, and you can bet that our old Nazi friends are happy to help with reducing your ammo clips. After decades of making the bad guys go dead, the FPS genre needed a reinvention, some new hook that felt completely fresh. Superhot was happy to provide just that with its unique movement and time mechanics. The action happens without your input, but very slowly. Whenever you move, it speeds up. If that doesn't sound that great, just play it and see. If it's you against a room full of red dudes and all you have is an ashtray, it's your opponents who should be worried. You can throw the ashtray at the closest opponent, snatch their firearm out of midair, and then dispatch of all of his friends. Superhot rewards experimentation through its many violent puzzles, so don't hesitate to unleash your inner Neo.
While Modern Warfare, a soft reboot for the series, was a pretty good FPS game on PlayStation 4 in its own right, Warzone, its Battle Royale spin-off, has won the most attention since its release in March 2020. You probably don't need to be told that there are 5 million Battle Royale games out there, yet Warzone does more than enough to separate itself from the pack. Whether it's the unique cash system, fighting for your life in the Gulag, or the iconic Call of Duty gunplay, Warzone is a cut above. Best of all, it will be supported far longer than Blackout, remember that? Ever was, with it being integrated with Black Ops Cold War. Looks like Warzone is here to stay, especially as it's been such a runaway success.
Rainbow Six Siege is not a game that you can simply pick up and mess around in. Well, technically you could just play it for the laughs, but don't say we didn't warn you when your teammates chew you out with a stream of expletives or just straight up kick you out of the match. Siege is serious business, even in casual. Siege has continued to grow and evolve in the years following its release because it does the simple things very well. Teamwork and gunplay feel rewarding, as well as the adrenaline rush from peeking the same corner for minutes at a time, never losing its tension. The learning curve is steep, with its meta always shifting, but it's worth sticking with.
A game so criminally overlooked that people almost started an insurrection against EA for releasing it at a stupid time, Titanfall 2 is what the original game should have been, and then some. It retains the same appeal of jumping in and out of a giant murder machine at will, and also pulling off crazy stunts and skillful kills. Away from the multiplayer, which is incidentally also some of the best on PS4 if you can still find a match, Titanfall 2 offers a single-player campaign that tells one of the best stories in the FPS genre, perhaps even of the generation of a whole. It's a heartwarming tale of a man and his Titan that shouldn't really work as well as it does. But thanks to some great mechanics and an unforgettable level, the short but sweet campaign is enough of an incentive on its own to pick the game up.